Hello and welcome to AASPA's podcast. I am Anna Weber and I am AASPA's marketing coordinator. With me today, I have Sara Baker, who's the executive director of workforce planning, Sarah Semroc, who is an HR partner, Cathy Kim, who is an HR partner, Kelli Hernandez, who is a principal on special assignment, and Michaela Raikes, who's the project manager for workforce planning. All of these folks work at Highline Public Schools in Burian, Washington, and they are presenting a pre-conference session at our annual conference on building the workforce our students need, strategic staffing for student-defined success. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'll hand it over to you guys to tell us a little bit more about your district and your roles there.
Thank you, Anna. Highline is south of Seattle. Folks might not know where Burian, Washington is. If you've ever visited Seattle, you've gone through SeaTac International Airport, and that is in our district. And we exist in a corridor between the Puget Sound and I-5 that runs all the way down through to California. So we're a pretty dense metro setting, but we're a small to medium district by kind of state national definitions. Really proud, and I'll invite my friends to speak from their vantage point about Highline kind of culturally, but I'll start by saying we're really proud about the different intersections of our diversity. 100+ languages spoken in the homes of our families, folks that are in various levels of housing stability and intergenerational housing and socioeconomic class and lived experience, really rich immigrant and refugee population. And we're one of the founding kind of districts in the region thinking about dual language. So we actually deliver instruction in English, in Spanish, and Vietnamese in various schools, and are even adding Somali heritage to that suite. So really proud of our diversity and what the Seattle metro area has to offer our students and families.
Yeah, and to that note, I would also highlight something I'm really proud of working and actually getting to live in the community is that we really are a community-focused school district. And so oftentimes we'll be facilitating folks at orientation and finding out that, we're welcoming folks in who graduated from Highline Public Schools, or they're a parent and they're going to work at their child's school. And something that I feel really proud of is some of our pathway programs that we have, and really the investment in Grow Your Own and intentionally curating a more diverse, culturally, linguistically diverse workforce. And so that's something that I feel really proud to work in Highline.
So can you just give us a quick overview of your session that you're presenting for us at our pre-conferences this year?
I told the team, this is Sara Baker. I told the team I would lead this, and part of what I want to say, Anna, transparently, we lean into our mess. And so part of what I think folks have gotten to expect from us is that we're really vulnerable about where we're at in our design process and our thinking, and really leverage the AASPA community to push our thinking about the work that we're doing. So I say that to say, we just recently met, what are we presenting about? And what are we trying to do here? So some of us have a more keen current thinking about what we want to deliver. And I'll let folks share a little bit about that, but also that part of our practice is to be reflective and responsive to what we see happening in other places and other spaces. So we try to write our presentation in a way that's kind of alluring, and also when you're a kid, you're like, oh my God, 3 hours and it's so long. And then we were talking about this presentation. It's like, we have so much to say and so much to share. So how do we refine? So looking forward to what is listed as a part 3 really is a continuing conversation from the last 2 years as we share some of the work happening on our workforce planning team. And I wonder, Sara, if you could share a little bit about our conversation.
Yeah, so I feel lucky and excited to share. This is actually going to be my 3rd time presenting on the kind of umbrella topic of strategic staffing and at the AASPA National Conference. And each year we've kind of refined what does that look like and shared some of our approaches, our learnings, and our updates. And so this year it's a continuation. So we're looking to share more with leaders in the realm of strategic staffing and what does that actually mean to be curating a workforce that can actually deliver on outcomes for students that center students defining their own success. So what does that look like for staffing? What does that look like for school leaders, for central office leaders? And in our session, we're going to be sharing a little bit around some of the learnings we've had. And so we'll be sharing some of the anchors that have helped to guide our work. So including design principles, having a really clear vision, and then also changing that vision when you have new learning, applying a theory of action. And so we'll be sharing some of that and then highlighting some of the approaches that we've taken in alignment to our design principles. And so there will be some elements where there's a community cafe where folks can learn more about what does our data practices, what do those actually look like? When we talk about equitable leadership hiring, what does that mean? And then we hope to have a space for workshop too, because one of the things we really value is learning from others across the nation who are also doing this work in different ways. So we're hoping to have a pretty dynamic workshop or experience with our pre-conference session that includes a workshop and a couple other elements.
I think one of my favorite things about these pre-conference sessions is because they're 3 hours long, you get to collaborate without feeling like you're losing out on some of that instructional time, I guess, that comes with a presentation. I feel like sometimes in an hour-long session, you feel sort of rushed to collaborate because like I'm running out of time to hear what they have to say. So I love that you guys are building that in there. What would motivate someone to come to this session?
I'll kind of blend the two together. And the first question and second question, we talked one year about like, what does it even mean to define success? What does that phrase mean? We've talked about staffing as the main lever of school improvement. As we've dug in, we're hoping this year we can lean more into community-based approaches and like how are our stakeholders co-creating what that looks like with us, that we aren't deciding from central office what this work needs to look like, but really bringing in the folks that are most impacted by, for example, access to pathways into teaching. If we're not bringing teachers into that conversation, pathways into leadership, if we're not bringing leaders into that conversation, then we're not really living our values around anti-racist approaches. So I think what for me would motivate someone to come to the session is if they've come to either of the other two, they might be interested to know what we've been up to. Two, if they're thinking about how do they really center community approaches in their work, then we have some things to share about what it's been like in two different settings to try to establish design teams across stakeholder groups. And three, I think a motivating factor could just be my district is kind of early in these conversations. What could we anticipate might be hurdles and challenges? What might be assets that we have that could be leveraged into this work to carry it forward? So those would be my three potential motivations. And we've got a number of personalities on this call. So I feel like personality is also one of the things that might motivate folks to come. Someone else, see, they're giggling, but you can't see them. But I think that could be appealing as well. We've got a cast of characters.
Yeah, we're pretty dynamic. As a team, I love working with this team, and we all bring really different perspectives into the work. Some of us have been teachers in schools in our district and across the country, and then teachers, principals in this district as well. And so I feel like we're able to really connect with folks who attend our sessions in a variety of ways. And so I think if you're coming to our session and you just want to understand like your position in the organization as change is coming, and there's some really, if you're looking to align your practices to the values that you espouse, like that's the work we're doing. And so we're talking about when we say we have a commitment to community grounded approaches and we are committed to anti-racist work, what does that actually look like in practice? So we're in the mess, as Sara already shared. We have some learnings to share and hope that folks can connect with that.
What is one tool or strategy from your session that attendees can implement immediately in their own district?
I can share. I've gotten to present last year at the national conference, and then we did actually travel to California for the smaller conference. And as the project manager on this team, one of the things I bring to this project is our data work, and not only the data collection and sort of systematizing that, but also figuring out how to operationalize it and use it with teams and other stakeholders like hiring managers. And in the last two conferences, have connected with folks across the country that have reached back and asked for help in thinking about how they apply that to their situation. So sometimes it's smaller districts, sometimes it's larger districts, wanting to understand what are the literal technical things we do to gather that data. And sometimes it was literally like, how did you create this visual because it was really powerful? And so I think not only is that something they can take away, the idea, but I think also all of us are offering thought partnership. We definitely don't have the magic recipe to fix the thing you're looking for. But as Sarah said, we're sort of in our own, in the mess and figuring things out and adjusting as we go along. And it's always really helpful to bounce ideas off or start to think about what it could look like in a different context.
I think in addition to that, I would say that there are a number of leaders out there, to Michaela's point, that reach back out afterwards that feel a little bit isolated in their context, trying to start this work or start the conversation. So I would hope that one tool or strategy might be how to build some community relationships within their, school or district context. Who could they identify to start this conversation with? I'm of the school of thought that learning is relational, and that you have to be able to engage with other people, other ideas to really move your own needle. Otherwise, I'm just going to spin on that same idea. And so I hope that we can model, and that a strategy folks could take home is, how do I build space for these conversations? Even if it means, after hours, after the HR happy hour huddle, during lunch. I think we work all of the time. It doesn't have to be, what meeting can I push into? What, power can I access? I also hear that a lot. I don't have the power in my system to do the type of work that you all are doing. It didn't start that way. I think we got power through influence, and again, demonstrating as a team, we've built a little learning community here, and we're trying to widen that through this next session. So I hope there's a strategy there around engaging the work, no matter how small. And sometimes that's just, in your imagination station. And sometimes you got schemes and dreams that years later, you're like, remember that conversation we had 4 years ago? Had we not had that conversation, we wouldn't be in this moment now with doors or opportunities that we can access. So that's not something on a slide somewhere in our presentation, but I would hope that folks can take the spirit of that back into their work setting.
I love hearing that what you want them to take away is that they have a partner in you, that's one of the things, because it can be hard, especially when you work in a small district or you have a small team, to feel like you don't always have the support that you want. And so even if it is from somebody in a school district in a different state on the different side of the country, just knowing that you do have somebody that is a partner to you as you implement change, I think is really powerful. And that is a huge strategy, huge thing to be able to take away from one of these sessions. And I love that. So what are you looking forward to at conference this year? Is there anything in particular that you guys are really excited for? Other than your session, of course.
I'm going to say this is going to be my first one to attend, but after hearing from all of my lovely coworkers here who've attended, so many of them, and they bring back some great ideas and energy from the conference. So connecting with the community and the conversations is what I'm looking forward to.
I'm so excited for you, because the networking and the connections is the thing that we hear time and time again. The sessions are amazing and I learned so much, but I learned so much from just being in this crowd of my peers and people that do what I do. So I'm really excited for you, Cathy. I think you're going to have a great time. So I know some of you have attended annual conference before. Can you tell me what your favorite part of conference is?
I think Cathy named the thing that is my favorite part. The thing I'm looking forward to is seeing folks that I haven't seen for a year because we work in very different contexts. I think AASPA does a really good job of creating space for what I consider community building. Yes, it's networking on the agenda, but just getting to be able to engage people that may or may not be a part of your kind of learning circle at any part of the process. I'll be honest, I'm really looking forward to it being on the West Coast this year. The travel will be much better than Orlando. I wasn't able to go for that reason. And I know that AASPA, the planners, do a good job of trying to engage the geographical location that we're in. So I heard so much about Orlando, and I think it was Fright Night or something, and there was like a whole SeaWorld situation. So I'm looking forward to what you all do in LA and all of the good trouble we can get into as a bunch of educators let loose in a new space.
I was just meeting with our director of meetings and events before this, talking about some of the fun stuff that's going to be going on. And I promise you, if you feel left out that you didn't get to go to Orlando, we'll make up for it this year because it's going to be so fun. And we as a staff are located in Kansas City. And so when we travel to the East Coast, we're like, man, we're losing time. We're excited to go west because to us, it feels like we get to sleep in.
There you go. We get to stay in the same time zone. So my auto reply, they'll get they'll get right away, and I won't be working in the hotel afterwards. And Sarah and I attended in DC the year before and got to engage the city through a different lens. I think when you go to a conference and you're in a certain headspace all day, you then engage the physical space differently. And so it was really cool to go to a place I'd been before, but to go there thinking about educational equity and thinking about the role of systems and structures to be in the nation's capital, and then go to museums. I think our conversations were different, and the conference really does live outside of the, convention center. So I'm looking forward to that.
I agree with what's already shared, and one of the things that I'm really excited for is, as I think back to the previous years I've come to this, our team has shifted, but it's also grown. And so I'm really excited to spend time with Cathy, Kelli, Michaela, Sara, and as a team, because time is such a precious resource. And I feel like the investment in our district and our leadership to support us going to this, and the AASPA for putting this together. I'm really grateful to have the time with all of them, and then to share all of our collective learning, and also like the fun social nights. I love. So I'm really excited to connect with folks there. And then as Sara already mentioned, like reconnect with people that we have met in the past and kind of stayed in a little bit of touch with as we've spent time in between conferences. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Getting to spend time with your coworkers and build that bond outside of the office, I think, is so important. It's really important to the AASPA staff that we get to do that. And so I love that you guys are valuing that in your conference priority list.
One thing I wanted to add too, I was thinking about, one of my favorite parts is the ability to sort of zoom out. So you're zoomed in all the time, like for instance, with exit work, and you're just doing the thing because you need to do the thing. And going to AASPA sort of allows you to zoom back out and say like, okay, how would I want to do this? And what are other people doing that I can sort of start to integrate? And I really appreciate that learning opportunity. So it sort of interrupts your urgency and needing to get things done in the moment. But I do have to say, my absolute favorite part of my Orlando experience, and I'm a little nervous about California, was the 6-foot-tall cardboard cutouts of Kelly Koch Johnson. And I'm hoping that they arrive in Anaheim so that I can continue my series of selfies that I've taken with the cutouts, with the real Kelly. So if I could put in a special request for that, I'd really appreciate AASPA coming through for me.
Please pay for their safe arrival.
I will take that up with our illustrious marketing team, which is me, and see what we're going to do about that.
I will say that's part of why I missed it.
I will send you the selfies if you would like them. I'm happy to share this gift.
I think that we all probably need to see those. They probably need to accompany this podcast when it gets posted.
This is a reference, a footnote.
Exactly. It's gotta go out on social media with the podcast link.
Yes.
I
Thank
just
you
need
all.
to confirm with Kelli that she's okay with that.
Oh, those pictures are already all over everywhere because I posted a whole bunch last year too. So we can put both of our selfies with Kelli up there. Thank you all so much for joining me. I have had a great time recording with you guys. You are so fun, and I can just tell that you are truly a dynamic and well-oiled machine, and you guys are going to do a great session. I feel like your attendees are going to have a great time and walk away with, you're also knowledgeable too, with just some great information and a wealth of resources. So thank you all for joining me today.
Thank you, Anna. We're going to put you in our pocket.
you.
That was the best.
I am so excited to see all of you we're less than 2 months away now in Anaheim.